What's going on, guys? My name's Alan, and welcome to a commentary. This is going to be a dual commentary with my good friend. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, hi guys. My name is Joshua. I have my channel's TheRealJoshRowe, of course. I play games and stuff kind of.
Kind of. So what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, we're going to talk about GTA 5, the more specifically the trailer that was just released a couple days ago.
Yeah. So, what's your so far? What's your opinion on the game, or your first, just general thoughts of the game?
Well, from what I can tell, there isn't a whole lot of information out there to really make up my mind, but I'm pretty sure everybody's already decided they're going to buy it, of course. Um, my initial opinion is it really has an interesting take on how it's going to present this story, at least from the trailer. I haven't really researched all the specific details and all, I guess, what are people speculating on and everything else. But what I can tell from the trailer directly is that hopefully there would be different ways to do the story. Hopefully, maybe, I'm not sure. They really haven't released, I guess, hard details on it, or haven't seen gameplay from the different characters and stuff. But I do think that it's going to be interesting how they present it, and I think the story is going to be bigger than ever. Of course, there's going to be, of course, new stuff, new ways to do stuff, and apparently they're going to bring back a lot of the old things that made potentially San Andreas really, really good compared to the other Grand Theft Autos.
Um,
Yeah.
some of the things I've heard about, well, this is again speculation, of course, but like there's some missions are going to include all three characters, Trevor, Michael, and Franklin, I believe. There's sometimes there's just going to be one character or two characters, and like there's different ways of like going through the missions. And this is an interesting idea. Like there's so one guy that said that brought up the idea. Like what if like say there's like one objective for one of the players, say Franklin, is to kind of provide support from a distance with a sniper rifle, and then like Trevor is supposed to go in the back or whatever and cause a distraction while Michael goes in the front. And you can hit a button and switch between these perspectives while the computer picks up the other guy's perspective once you leave or go back and forth or whatever. So I think that's an interesting idea. What I'm really wondering though is how they're going to handle open world. Like if you're you can press that button again or have to go to their house or whatever, switch characters or whatever. Because GTA 4 of course did a similar thing. It was DLC of course, not just the full length game like this is going to be. You had Nico, Johnny, and Luis, I believe. Of
hmm
course, they were different games, of course, different story, DLC, whatever you want to call it. So I wonder how they're going to do it, though. That's what I'm really curious about. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of speculation on it, and we don't really have that much to go on at this point. So it's interesting to talk about and everything, but we have to wait until we get all the information. And of course, it's gonna be awesome either way, but still.
yeah. What was your favorite part of the trailer, of this most recent trailer so far?
Well, my favorite part is, well, I guess maybe not my favorite part, but my favorite concept of the trailer was the fact that they had the different perspectives, like I was saying earlier,
Yeah.
and the different music in the background, how it shifted almost like a profile that you
Yeah.
were viewing the trailer under, right?
Yeah.
I liked how they showed the different aspects of the trailer and how the stories of the individual characters, all three of them, differed so wildly, like how different situations they were in, and of course how that's going to affect the story that they're in and how they're intertwined and everything.
Which character do you think you're gonna like the most, just from this trailers you've seen?
I really liked Michael because like just his persona and his personality and everything they kind of puts off, and the fact that he's going through a midlife crisis. But I absolutely loved it when it switched to Franklin, of course, because I mean that was just awesome. Some of
Yeah.
the stuff that went down in that scene and everything.
Um, yeah, like I heard this. I don't know if you watch the game show, but it was on their Remag Daily, which is the news show on their channel, and it's one of the hosts made a reference to TV shows, and they said first Michael was like this typical HBO character, and then Franklin was like The Wire, which is another HBO show, of course, and then you had Trevor, which was Breaking Bad. It's not really funny. It's like I don't know what those shows are, but I really think I'm like Trevor, just because he's kind of the drunk. He seems like he's kind of
He's like the crazy one, yeah.
yeah. I think I read somewhere that his roommate is a conspiracy theorist or whatever. He's like a cruelly crazy one. It may have been speculation or whatever, but yeah, like it seemed like he's gonna be the one of the more funnier ones. And like Trevor's gonna be like not Trevor. I mean, Michael is gonna be like the more serious one, and then Franklin's like trying to get out of the hood. He's trying to make something of himself, kind of like what Carl did in San Andreas. Like he was trying to get out of the hood, trying to make something of his life, make something of his family or whatever. So I mean, Rockstar, in my opinion, has always been able to tell a really good story in each one of their games, like from Red Dead Redemption to LA Noire, which that wasn't that they published that game, but like still they've made like just over the years they've always been able to create a really good story out of the time period they're in. Like in Vice City, you had the '80s, you had drugs, and San Andreas, you had the West Coast not hip hop, the West Coast gang scene. They've always been able just to create this massive immersive environment where it's just like you feel like you're not just like there, but you feel like it's really authentic from what of course you're not born in that time. You don't know exactly how it feels, but from like videos, from the music in the game, just from everything, they've always been able to create a really good story, and that's what I've always liked about Rockstar.
Yep, I agree 100% with you on that. The story always in the Grand Theft Auto games has always been huge. Like, there's just always these small caveats and other things that grab your attention, and you can do what you want, and the story like fits together in the end. It's really just amazing to have that satisfaction of finishing the game and doing everything in between, of course.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering what the hidden packages are going to be in this game. Like in Vice City, it was the statues filled with cocaine or whatever. I'm not sure if like that's something I found out recently. Well, not recently, but on my second or third playthrough of that game, they had cocaine in that. And then you had like 3 different kinds in San Andreas. You had the tags, the other opportunities, which I just hated, and then the horseshoes in Las Venturas. So. I mean, that's always fun too, because they've always made a joke out of that stuff. So I really do hope they make some really quirky and fun out of that too in this game.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna figure out something like that. I liked how whenever you completed one of those things, that you got that extra thing that you earned from it.
Yes.
Like the guns specifically, like the body armor and everything.
Yeah, those are really helpful, especially like in Vice City, because you got the body armor, and those are not as expensive, but it was easier to just go by your house or whatever and pick it up and to burp there. But yeah, I mean, I'm always interested in a Rockstar game, so I'll buy it anyway, of course. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up at least. But an interesting topic comes up when you decide, whether you're gonna buy it or not, because of course they're gonna be releasing it for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. But there's been speculation that of course they're gonna re-release it when the PlayStation 4 and Xbox 720 or whatever the name of that's gonna be when it comes out. So my question to you is, do you think it's gonna be worth the wait to just get it for the next generation consoles, or just get it initially when it comes out on the 17th of September?
That's a question that I kind of debated with myself, because I was like, when they announced the PS4, I was like, oh shit, they're gonna put it on just the PS4 and Xbox, the next Xbox or whatever. So I was really worried about that. But since it is coming out on PS3, or supposedly it is, I think I'm just gonna buy it on that. Cause I'm not really sure if I'm gonna get into the next generation of consoles, because I don't know. I'm not liking the direction they're going in, but we can talk about that more later. But I think I'm going to buy it on PS3 first. What are you going to do about that, if that's supposedly how it's going to happen?
Well, I'm actually kind of torn halfway between one or two options, because I would love to have it straight when it does come out on the 17th of September, because that's right before my birthday and everything, and of course, like, I'll be like, oh, birthday present to myself, right?
Yeah.
But once again, I don't want to buy it for 2 different consoles, and I'm getting essentially the same game. So I actually think that this year, or whenever the consoles do roll over to the next generation, I'm going to be there and waiting for both of the systems at least. You can forget the Wii U, of course.
Well,
because I mean, that's already here. But blah. Yeah, we can talk about that some other
yeah,
time.
yeah, it's interesting because we'll see. I don't know like what the differences would be between PS4 and PS3 or whatever. I'm sure there's gonna be some graphical differences because the PS4 and the next Xbox will be a little more enhanced, of course. But like graphics to me aren't really important. I like the game for the story and the gameplay as opposed to how good it looks. Because you have these games that look amazing. Like I don't know if you've ever played this game, but I believe it was called True Crime: Streets of New York, and
Hmm.
it was a later PS2 release, Xbox 2, of course. And it looked amazing for the time period. It looked really polished, really clean, really detailed. If you were going to a CD store in that game, the CDs actually looked like CDs. But the story and the gameplay and the controls, people said about it were shit. So, I mean, of course, not all games like that, of course, but I really am looking forward to. I mean, I really don't care if it's on a PS4. It looks like twice as good. It won't bother me so much. Let's say they add like little bonus missions from the PS4 version, which I think will be bullshit. But I don't see Rockstar doing that. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see exactly how they go about this route. Like I said, I definitely want to have both consoles, so we'll have to see how that works out.
So we also want to talk a little bit about next generation consoles, the PS4, next to Xbox. So what are your thoughts so far on what that you've heard, what speculation you've heard so far on these next generation consoles?
Well, actually, I haven't heard too much on the next generation consoles. I'm definitely awaiting the big Xbox reveal, of course, and further details on the PlayStation 4. This time around, when the console generation shifts, I definitely am going to be waiting to get both systems this time. That's kind of a goal that I've set for myself because unfortunately for me, just a straight Xbox 360 player right now. Although I do see a lot of PlayStation exclusives that I did want to play but never got to, unfortunately, just because I never owned the system.
Yeah.
Now with PlayStation 4 and Xbox 360, I'm not going to make that mistake again, and I do think there is a great deal of potential for the systems and how they can push games to the next level, of course, and hopefully make the next generation a great hit and a really good abstraction from this generation to the next.
See, my problem with the next generation consoles is I know there's talk about DRM on the Xbox, the next Xbox, it being online only, and then like the PS4. I'm not sure it's official, but I think somebody at Sony said that there's not going to be backwards compatibility, which was a big problem with the PS3. Like the original, the first few models of the PS3 had backwards compatibility. But then they cut it out when they made I forget which model it was, but they cut that out, and that was just bullshit. Because I mean, like you have this I mean, if you have a PS2, it's not necessarily a big deal, but it can be kind of a hassle having both the PS2 hooked up if you want to play a game. I guess you can unplug it when you don't want to use it or whatever. But I just think it's kind of nice to have a backwards compatible console, I should say. Because you may just want to go back and play a PS2 title or a PS1 title or whatever. I don't even think PS1 games saved back then. Or they just didn't save, play but they wouldn't save or whatever, which isn't really, I guess it's a big deal, but whatever. I'm not getting into that right now. I'm kind of eerie about that. So what I've kind of thought about doing, I'm not really sure about if I want to do this yet, but around the time that the next consoles come out, I want to make a push for PC gaming a little more. I think I will. I may buy one of them or whatever. Probably the PS4 because that's what I've always been on. I have an Xbox 360, but I don't play it too much. But I kind of want to make a push for PC gaming a little bit because that PSC is always PC. Sorry. Always. I mean, you have to upgrade your computer a lot, and that's a big problem with it. If you want to stay current, you have to constantly upgrade the computer or whatever. But I think I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to. I'd actually like to buy a rig or a desktop computer, I should say, because my laptop's pretty good, but I don't want to really. I don't want to just make it a gaming computer. Really, I can handle it probably, but I just don't want to do that with it. Yeah, we also want to talk a little bit about the Wii U. So first, what's your general opinion on it? I know we talked about neither of us have really played it much, but what's your general opinion on it? So from what you've seen in YouTube or whatever.
Well, from what I have read and or seen about the Wii U, it seems like it kind of fell to the same fate as the original Wii, of course. And I say this, and let me just explain a little bit further on that. It goes down to the fact that it doesn't have as much processing power as you think that you might need. With the Wii U, also, they moved away from certain core developers for what are known as core games, or more hardcore games, or shooter types, or whatever you want to call it, and kind of ditched that for, once again, like the Wii, the original one. They went for the more family-oriented games, and kind of the really, really good games for the Wii U could arguably, yes or no, could be or not. There were very few actually really good games for it, especially for like a older, mature target audience. And I just think it's just obsolete in a sense, and that's just why I don't own one, because it's just not up to par with what I think that I would want to spend my money on.
It seems to me like the marketing wasn't too good on it either. Like I remember the Wii, it was like really hard to find a Wii because when it first came out, because of all the marketing it had, and I guess they didn't expect it to be that popular or whatever. But like this game, they didn't have that. I mean, the Wii U didn't have that. From what I heard, people didn't have a problem getting it. I can go anywhere and get it. Like I live in this little small town, and we have a Walmart, and that's all we have. I know it was really hard to get a Wii back when it first came out, but I think they've had Wii U's since it's came out. They've had a steady supply of them in the where the games are, of course. So I don't know. It just seems like they didn't market it too well. I really don't know if it still does motion control. I'm sure it does in some sense, but it seems like they made a push for that. What do they call the controller?
Oh, I don't even know. I just know it has the screen and
yeah,
whatever else.
Which I mean, it's like, I mean, it seems like that's cool and all, because I know some games you can, like, if your dad or mom or some family member wants to watch TV or whatever, some games are compatible. Like you can press a button and the game will shift to the controller or whatever, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I mean, I think it would work if you like the portable consoles do that already. Like the DS and PSP already do that. So I don't want to see that as being like a really big new thing already. But I mean, I've never been like you said earlier. Like there's not really a big push for hardcore games. I know like the Wii U launched with a zombie game that was rated M. I think it was called Zombie U, I believe. Voice crack, yay. But it launched with a zombie game that was really brutal. I don't want to say brutal. I don't like. I've seen gameplay of it, of course, but I haven't played it myself. But it looks violent, and I know we talked about this before in the past. But when Mad World came out, a game that came out in 08, 09, I forget when it came out, but that was another gory game for the Wii, and there was a big push. There was a big argument amongst parents who owned a Wii for their children, and like, oh, this really brutal game's coming out. Why would you do that, Nintendo? And it brings up a point. Parents are really kind of not really educated on as far as game ratings go. So what's your take on that? It's kind of off topic, I know, but I've already went there. So what's your take on that?
With the education of parents versus... Yes. Oh, okay. It is a very interesting topic, and you always eventually or occasionally see a story in the news where a parent is outraged that their child has been playing ultra-violent video games or gory games or games that swear or whatever else. But in all honesty, unless their child is almost an adult or 17 or 8, it's 17 that you can buy it. They bought these M-rated games or other, lower ratings, but still has some questionable material in their minds in the game for their children, and then only after the children plays them with, out the parent knowing exactly what's in the game, even though they bought the product, then they want to get mad and blame video games or, it. And it's also it's just the thing to blame whenever things happen
Yeah, like
and
a
everybody wants to look for a
scapegoat. Yeah.
scapegoat. Yeah, and it was the same way with metal music in the 70s and
Hip hop
other
in the
things.
90s. Marilyn
Yeah.
Manson when Columbine happened.
hmm
Yeah.
And um, there really there hasn't been a correlation really found in. I mean, like a direct correlation. I mean, there could be a correlation with people playing games versus violent actions, but there also could be like a double meaning to that, meaning that people that are more inclined to be violent or just attracted to these games, and it's skewing the data basically.
Yeah, I mean that's a topic for another time, of course. But my big problem with it is like parents, like when you code to, I don't think it's even that hard. Like you look on the back of a game, like it says why it's rated M or it says it's why it's rated T or whatever. Like, I don't even see how it's like slightly hard to look at or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just a little easier for me, and it's kind of hard for parents to do that. But I mean, I just because like with me, I played GTA Vice City when I was like 6 or 7. It didn't bother me too much. But like
Yeah, I turned out all right. So
yeah, it turned out pretty well. But it seems like it's just different kids react differently. I mean, you have these kids who grow up in a really sheltered environment. I have this friend I go to school with. His mom just now let him buy GTA 4, and he's 17 now. So my mom bought that game back for me when it came out back in 2008 when I was what 12 or 13. I forget how old I was. So I'm not good at math, but anyway, um, they they had like it was like it's you know how much different it is. I mean, I grow up in a I really just like whatever environment. Parents don't really care what I play as long as there's nudity in it. And GTA 4 did not have that, of course. Well, Austin Dam did, but that came out much later. Um, but like compared to a kid who's in a really sheltered, I wouldn't call it religious environment. He is more than I would. Of course, I'm an atheist, so it doesn't really matter. But he grew up in a really sheltered religious environment, I'd call it, and it's just bothering. It's just kind of, it's just weird. I'm not really sure I'm getting at here, but I'm rambling on, of course. So, yeah. So that's pretty much all the time we have. This has been going on for around 22 minutes now. Um, so any any closing statements you want to add or whatever?
Not really, sir. I just want to thank you for letting me come on, and it was great dual com and everything.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward here and there, but that's kind of
You're
how
fine.
it's just kind of how it is with me. So anyway, thanks for coming on. His channel will be in the description. Makes a lot of cool videos, vlogs, gameplays, a lot of various things. So link will be in the description, and we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
hmm